We are reviewing Novo Nordisk provides update on the ZEUS phase 3 trial in people with ASCVD, CKD and inflammation, published in Novo Nordisk. Novo Nordisk just disclosed something genuinely surprising. Their anti-inflammatory antibody ziltivekimab did exactly what it was designed to do in the body, cutting the very inflammation markers linked to heart disease. And it still didn't prevent a single extra heart attack, stroke, or cardiovascular death compared with placebo.
That's the headline from the Phase 3 ZEUS trial, disclosed today as a market-moving company announcement, ahead of full data at a scientific meeting later this year. It's a real test of one of cardiology's biggest current theories, that inflammation itself drives heart attacks, and today's result complicates it.
If you want breaking trial readouts broken down like this the day they drop, subscribe now. Let's get into it. Ziltivekimab is Novo Nordisk's investigational antibody targeting interleukin-6, or IL-6, a cytokine that drives inflammation. The idea, if inflammation itself contributes to heart attacks and strokes, blocking IL-6 directly might prevent them on top of whatever standard cardiovascular treatment a patient is already on.
It's part of a broader pipeline bet. Novo Nordisk is also developing it for acute heart attack and for heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. ZEUS was designed to test the cardiovascular outcomes piece of that thesis directly.
ZEUS enrolled more than 6,300 people who already had atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease and chronic kidney disease, plus a blood marker of inflammation, hs-CRP of 2 mg per liter or higher. That's a population selected specifically because they were expected to have inflammation-driven risk.
They were randomized, double-blind, to once-monthly ziltivekimab at 15 mg or placebo, both added on top of standard cardiovascular care. The primary endpoint was time to first 3-point major adverse cardiovascular events, cardiovascular death, non-fatal heart attack, or non-fatal stroke, analyzed by Cox regression.
Here's the twist in this story: the drug worked biologically. Novo Nordisk reports that ziltivekimab produced the expected reductions in free IL-6 and in high-sensitivity CRP, the exact inflammatory markers it was built to lower.
So target engagement wasn't the problem. Whatever this trial's result turns out to mean, it isn't that the antibody failed to do its job in the bloodstream.
Despite that confirmed biological effect, it did not translate into fewer major cardiovascular events. The hazard ratio for time to first 3-point major adverse cardiovascular events was 0.99, with a 95% confidence interval of 0.88 to 1.11.
That confidence interval straddles 1. This is a null result, not just a disappointing one. Novo Nordisk didn't disclose the exact number of events in each arm or a formal p-value here. That level of detail is expected when full results are presented later this year.
On safety, overall adverse event and serious adverse event rates were similar between the two groups. The one flagged difference, a higher proportion of serious infections in the ziltivekimab group, which the company notes is consistent with what you'd expect from inhibiting IL-6.
And there was no difference in all-cause mortality between arms. No specific percentages were given for any of these safety findings in this announcement.
Martin Holst-Lange, Novo Nordisk's chief scientific officer, put it directly: ZEUS was designed to test whether inhibition of the IL-6 pathway could translate reductions in cardiovascular inflammation into fewer major cardiovascular events. This did not result in major adverse cardiovascular events benefits in this population.
He added that the company's strategic commitment to cardiovascular disease research doesn't change, and framed the trial as providing important scientific evidence for future work. Worth keeping in mind, that's the company's own characterization, from its head of R&D, not an independent outside investigator.
It's worth being clear about what kind of document this is. This isn't a peer-reviewed paper or a conference presentation. It's a same-day investor disclosure, filed as a company announcement under European market abuse regulation, because the result is financially material.
Novo Nordisk says full ZEUS results, presumably with detailed statistics and subgroup breakdowns, will be presented at a scientific meeting later in 2026. Until then, everything we know is limited to what's in this announcement. The open question is what this means for the broader anti-inflammatory approach to cardiovascular disease, and whether Hermes and Artemis, testing the same drug in heart failure and post-heart attack populations, tell a different story when they read out in 2027.